Hello everybody, you are watching Epic Pokemon TCG, and in today's video guys, what I got for you in case you couldn't tell by the title or the thumbnail, we have ourselves a mirror match. Now depending on what you call this deck, Kibbles and Bits, Puppy Chow, O'Roy, the Blue Stuff, Rachel Ray's Overpriced Dog Food, um, alright, I don't know any other dog food brands, uh, but depending on what you call this deck, that is what's facing off here on screen, and I will be honest with you, mirror matches have plagued me probably my entire Pokemon tenure. I will practice, do all this stuff, and I will learn how to play against other decks to an extent. But when it comes to my own, I have no idea. I just don't know. Yeah, so this was a matchup that I was very happy that I got because I don't know. It was just one of those interesting games, man. It was like really back and forth. Neither one of us really had like a advantage, and then suddenly it just kind of swung into the favor of one of us. I'm not going to spoil who it was. I have uploaded games where I've lost. I'm very okay doing that, especially if it's an entertaining game. Now, when it came to my opponent's board versus mine after their first turn, I will say that I was pretty nervous because my opponent's board was way more set up than mine. I mean, way more set up. And also, I was worried that my opponent probably had reps with this deck, whereas I was still kind of learning it. This is like one of my first games with this deck. And I probably should have did this video like right after I recorded this because it's been a minute. So we're going to be experiencing this together. As you can tell, I got the cool Christmas sleeves. So that's going to segue me to my next part here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic holiday season. If you celebrate anything, I hope it's well for you guys. I really do. I have been enjoying my holidays as best as I can. I've been watching a lot of Christmas specials and just kind of taking it easy, man. I forgot how many Christmas specials there were, and so I have been definitely very busy. Watched a few Christmas movies, and unfortunately one of those was Jingle All the Way 2, which is a sequel to one of my favorite Christmas movies, which randomly has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, where he's spending the entire movie trying to get his kid a toy. The second one I was not a fan of, but I did not like that one. And as we can see, my opponent getting the Squawkabilly off and just getting his board all set up, whereas I'm sitting here with, well, it's like crickets over here. My opponent's got all the fun stuff over on their side of the field. I'm rocking one Entei, and yeah. And on my first turn, I didn't play down my Magma Basin because really it just seemed pointless to play mine down. I didn't have any fire energy in the discard pile. On top of that, I feel like I would have been kind of helping out my opponent. Yes, they had their own Magma Basin, but at the same time, it's like if I play it down, I'm really only helping them out at that point. I'll take me a swig of my coffee here. Oh, yes. So my opponent does have two booster capsules on the field. So that means their Iron Valiants are going to have some nice hefty free retreats. As we see another Tachyon Bits coming up. So really with this matchup, I'm going to try my best to be entertaining, but these decks are like kind of straightforward. The only real like explanation that they need is you have to kind of plan your damage out, especially like if you're planning like long term or what have you. I mean, these decks are just like you have a lot of switching cards. You have Magma Base and Entei for an accelerated attacker, and then you just kind of, what is it, Burning Rondo or whatever it is. Is that what it is? I don't know. Whatever Entei's attack is, and then you just smack the crap out of your opponent. I mean, if they're not going to have a huge bench, you are. I mean, you're going to have Iron Valiant, you're going to have a Squawkabilly, another Entei or something like that. So you're going to be doing a decent amount of damage. So my hand's pretty good for the most part. I'm potentially going to be able to attack here. I go ahead and just pitch it. Grab myself a fresh hand of 7, and I actually end up getting myself 2 switch cards, which is very clutch. This is going to allow me to get my Iron Valiant out of harm's way of Tachyon Bits. Now, Entei bringing it up with a boss's orders can still knock it out, but the big thing here is these 2 switch cards are going to be able to get me to... Why did my mouse move? My mouse just moved. Alright. It's haunted in here. So anyway, these 2 switch cards are going to be able to get me to where my Iron Valiant can't be picked off by another Iron Valiant, which is pretty huge. So there we go. I decided I'm going to hold on to that switch card. That would have been stupid to play that there. So there we go. Get myself another 20 damage. And unfortunately, I think I'm 10 damage short here. So I go for a fleet-footed, see if I get a Pokemon. Unfortunately, I do not. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I pick it off next turn. Maybe I try to knock it out then. So I'm feeling good. I got boss's orders, and then I got switch carts. I'm like, we're fine. We're good. We potentially have a 4-prize turn coming up. So that's fun, right? It's nothing like knocking out a Pokemon for even attack. That definitely gives an angel its wings. But this was definitely a very stressful game, just for the sheer fact of, 1, I have no idea what I'm doing. 2, mirror matches suck. 3, my opponent had way more going on. My opponent had way more going on. So this was like just one of those like learning experiences for me. Now I know that this deck is something that a lot of people have discussed in the Pokemon community, whether it's bad, whether it's good, what tier do you play it in. I don't care. I was just testing it out and seeing what I thought. And then my opponent plays Professor Turo's Scenario. I hate that card. Really, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to play it, see what's up, and post a video. You know how we do it over here, guys. We're not professional in the slightest. We have fun over here on this channel. That is the goal at the end of the day here. We are not being serious in the slightest. As I sit here kicked back, drinking coffee, and talking to you guys. That's why I enjoy these gameplays, is because I could just sit here and talk to you guys. Tell you guys how life's going for me. I went and saw some Christmas lights. Not for last. That was super fun. It was like a big ass, like, it was just like a big old field. That was like, I don't know. It wasn't really a field. It's just like a big area with a bunch of lights that you can walk around. I've been wanting to go to one of those since I was a kid. And so I got to go do that, and that was pretty sick. Alright, getting back to the gameplay. Opponent is setting up an Entei there. And thankfully, I'm not too nervous because I know that they're not going to be able to knock me out here because I wasn't able to knock them out. So I'm safe. It was crazy. Like we're both just kind of playing it out, doing our thing, and then suddenly, just in the blink of an eye, the game swung heavily in one of our favors. That was just the wild thing about this matchup. As my opponent hits me and I have 30 damage left, I draw Squawkabilly, which is probably the worst draw I could have had here. So now I'm like, alright, what do I want to do? And right here, I think I should have fleet-footed there first before playing a switch cart, just to see what I potentially got. But, I think I promote that Entei anyway, but I feel like I should have still played it and done fleet-footed. So I'm able to put 50 damage, or get that Entei to 50 damage. And now here I'm really trying to figure out my I guess my sequencing for my turn. Like I'm really thinking this out, like how do I want to go about this? And then I get a Chorus's Experiment, which is basically identical to one with Battle VIP Pass after the first turn, because I'm not expecting there to be another stadium other than Magma Basin going down. And so right here I played out another Iron Valiant. And I unfortunately don't have any switching cards, so I think I will be short some damage. But fortunately I do have good old fleet-footed, which draws me the Forest Stillstone, which gives me enough damage to knock it out if I grab myself another Entei, which is good. So I'm able to go up a couple prizes here in just a second as soon as old me figures this out. As I sit there again, so I'm like, all right, so 180 plus 50 is 210. I think I played this game pretty good. I think I did. But I know good and well there will be somebody out there who will watch this and be like, okay, so at 537, what you should have done. As my opponent sit there and spams, I don't know why my opponent just started spamming it, You do you, Clark. You do you. It's probably Clark Griswold somewhere, pissed off because his family's back over. Alright, so we're going to Burning Rondo here for a grand total 200. On top of that, that just gave me a secondary Entei to fall back on, because I am fully expecting this Entei to go down. However, I would rather my opponent knock my Pokemon out via attack in this matchup versus with Tachyon Bits, because when it comes to knocking something out with tachyon bits and then attacking, they're just getting more damage on the board, so that's just going to kind of speed up their processing here. Now, I am eyeballing that little Squawkabilly down there. And so, right around here, I'm kind of planning out my turn. So I'm like, okay, let's say my opponent knocks me out. Cool. I can promote my Iron Valiant with the item card, the booster capsule, free retreat, Magma Basin, and then I can promote Squawkabilly, knock it out, and then just either maybe pull off another attack later on, or I also have Radiant Charizard in my deck. I can let them try to knock something else out and get that set up. There was definitely some options here, and so that was kind of how I was looking at my next following turn. I knock out that Squawkabilly, I go down to 2, and then I just kind of finish with Radiant Charizard. So that was my plan here, and I'm fully expecting this Entei to go down. I just kind of accepted that. I knew that I was going to go down 4-4. My opponent does play the Escape Rope, however. And here is where I am really trying to figure out what in the world do I want to try to promote that can take a hit here. And so I do apologize. I sit here for a second and I'm like, do I want to promote Iron Valiant? And I decide, screw it, let's just go ahead and promote it. I think it's either this one or the next one that I sat there for a minute trying to think it over. As my opponent promotes another Iron Valiant. I was just kind of looking at my field, and I was like, you know what? I really need to figure out what I can possibly get rid of here. And if my opponent does knock out this Iron Valiant, I feel like that is completely fine. And so we see my opponent brings that Entei V up to 210 damage. So now I am in jeopardy of my opponent having a 4-prize turn. And we see another Escape Rope. And I think this is potentially the turn where I have to sit. I don't know. I remember there was an Escape Rope where I sat there for a good second trying to figure out. I'm like calculating damage, trying to figure out, okay, what can survive a hit, what can't survive a hit. And I'm like, man, what do I want to do here? And I think I finally opt to bring up the Iron Valiant with the booster capsule. Just in case, hey, if it doesn't get knocked out, I at least have free retreat, which should be pretty okay. And then my opponent does promote an Entei, and my opponent goes for the fleet-footed. And I think this is the turn where my opponent just passes, if I'm not mistaken. Which is crucial that they were not able to get an attack off. I think it's this turn. Yeah, so we just see a pass from my opponent, which is huge for me. So now I'm like, I have 2 Entei, and I'm just like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and grab the Radiant Charizard. Just let them know, hey man, you got to get rid of this or else I'm going to win this match. So we're going to promote the Squawkabilly, and we're just going to retreat. And my opponent does concede. So we are able to pull off the victory. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. And hopefully I'll have another video for you guys soon. My thing restarted. Take care, guys. I love you. And as always, this is Epic Pokemon TCG signing out. That scared me.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.